All right, I think we're live, and as you can see, I have a little new setup here. So I'm trying out this more professional microphone. So hopefully the audio quality be a little bit better. But yeah, if for some reason you can't hear me at all, although I think the audio is working, yeah, please feel free to say something in the chat like, "Hey Scott, man, we can't hear you," and then I'll just have to change something. But I think it's working. But anyway, so I'm sure more people will be rolling in as we get started. So hey everyone, Scott the Scott Man, and welcome to our second live Q&A. So I did one back in April and figure let's do another one because it's been several months since we did the last one. Although I do monthly ones on my Patreon, so yeah, there's we do like monthly ones on Patreon. And we have and yeah, it's like the Q&A streams on there. It's like yeah, they're a lot of fun. So it's almost like a preview of what those are like. But I still wanted to do like a couple a year for everybody. So that way I don't want to have anybody left out or anything like that. But we'll start the Q&A in a few minutes. Just want to get more people rolled in. I'm seeing some people rolling in. Hi there, Dimitri. And hey, Snow, it's good to see you. I'm doing pretty well right now. Hope you're doing well as also. And then KFC Extra Crispy. It's good to see you on here too. So with this stream, of course, yeah. In case you missed the beginning of this, or if you have to leave early for any reason, I'm planning to stream probably for maybe like an hour and 15 minutes or so. But so yeah, so if you have to leave early, or if you missed the first part of it, these streams, of course, this stream will be up on YouTube, so that way you can always watch at a later time. So no worries there. And so it's a couple little quick announcements I'll say before I start the Q&A in a few minutes. Plus at the same time too, that might give you guys some time, maybe think of some cool questions to ask me too. But yeah, so as you if you follow some of my social media channels, I just got back about a month ago from Istanbul and Georgia, and my very first video from Georgia is going to be going up tomorrow. So I'm really excited to upload the first video from that trip. Like next 4 Mondays, I got videos going up from the trip. So my trip to Georgia was a group trip that I joined. It was hosted by two great guys. One's a very good friend of mine, Greg Snell, who also co-ran the trip to Bali I did 4 years ago, and then also another really cool guy, James Kerwin, who does like a lot of like not architecture photography, including going to some abandoned places. So it was really cool meeting them. They ran a really cool trip, and they're planning to do some more trips too, like some like more like hidden photo tours, which they did a great job with the trip. And then it's like yeah, because I know they're planning to go to other locations too. I think they're done for this year, but the Georgia trip was the very first trip, but they're going to be doing some more next year and during the 2025. So it should be pretty exciting stuff. Uh, uh, hey there, Carol. Hey there, Grandpa Soaps. It looks like you had an amazing trip. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like yeah, can't wait to share all the videos. And Robert Sitch, it's great to see you on here. So I'll save your question. So yeah, thanks for the question already. But yeah, I'm gonna save the questions for a couple more minutes because I have another announcement that I will make. So speaking of group trips, no, I'm not hosting any, but I would love to someday. So yeah, it's always something I would like to do at some point. Yes, maybe like host some of my own group trips or something. So, but yeah, I'll make sure to let you guys know whenever I decide to plan something like that, whether it's something here in Michigan or Texas or somewhere around the world. So something I've been thinking about doing, but no plans as of yet. But I'll let you guys know whenever I host anything of my own. But one of my very good friends is also planning to do like her first group trip. I have a very good friend named Jamie or Jamie Banks. She's been in a couple of my videos in the past, like one when I met up with her in San Francisco, and then last year when I met up with her in London. Anyway, she's hosting her very first group trip next year in February in 2024. So just a few months from now to Egypt, which should be a really exciting trip. Of course, I know there's a lot of stuff going on over in that part of the world. So I'm hoping that doesn't spread over into Egypt or anything like that. But assuming that doesn't happen, and of course at the same time, she still has to get some more people to join up for the trip. So I think she has until like November, sometime mid-November, so like another few weeks to get the minimum of 8 people. And I'm actually planning to attend that trip too, assuming that the trip goes on. So yeah, again, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that she's able to get to get the minimum amount of people, and then also too that nothing gets worse over in the Middle East, because I know it's a little chaotic right now. But yeah, I'm trying to avoid any geopolitics talk or politics talk, so I'm not going to mention anything about that on here, because we're here to have a great time. But yeah, anyway, so her trip is going to be really cool, going like to Cairo, check out different things along the Nile. So it's like a 9-day trip, and if anybody is interested or potentially interested in the trip, yeah, please feel free to. Or I posted in the chat, or not the chat, then the video description for this live stream, I posted the link to the trip if anybody is potentially interested in that. But yeah, she's a very close friend of mine, and she's such an incredibly awesome person. And again, I really hope the trip is able to go on, because it'll be amazing if it does. All right, so I think we can start getting to the Q&A. And okay, and awesome. So it's nice to have this little introduction, because we have a couple of great questions here already. So the first one is coming over from Robert Sitch, a longtime supporter of mine. Do you think you would want to climb Mount Everest? It would be cool, no pun intended, but I don't know about that one, just because yeah, I'd have to practice a lot and do like a lot of it'll take like years of preparation to do anything like that. It's like I don't see me doing or going up to the top of Mount Everest, because it is very deadly, and I like to be able to come back from a trip alive. So I don't know if I would do that. The one thing I always could consider is maybe going to the base camp of Mount Everest, because I know that is a lot more manageable and a lot safer to do. But before I would do anything like that, I would probably hike up a much smaller mountain, like let's say Mount Kilimanjaro over in Tanzania, because that one's a lot more manageable. It's like it's definitely it's a tough hike, but very manageable. One of my cousins and his wife even did the trek up to Mount Kilimanjaro, I think a year or two ago, and they absolutely loved it. And I've been seeing a lot of other travelers do the climb up the mountain too. So that might be something I could consider, but again, I'd have to prep for that one too. So, and of course, Michigan is not really the mountain state, so I'd have to do like a lot of traveling out to like either the Canadian Rockies or even like the U.S. Rockies here, like in Colorado or Wyoming or something like that, to prepare for something like that, or even or heck, even go like to New England, because there's a lot of beautiful mountains there too. So, but anyway, as for Mount Everest, I don't see me going up to the top of that anytime soon, if at all. Yep. So Teen Dog asks, who's another really good supporter of mine, is asking, do you plan to stay in Georgia State for the winter? If so, will you remember to do my freeway video request in Atlanta? So currently, I don't have any plans of going to Atlanta or anywhere in the state of Georgia at this time, but that can always change though, because I'm still trying to think about something to do like right after Christmas, kind of like what I've done the past couple years. Like with last year, I went to Alabama and a little bit of Mississippi, and then 2 years ago I went to Houston, Texas. So I'm still trying to think about that. But yeah, if I do it, or if I'm driving through Atlanta for any reason, yeah, I definitely will have to look up some of the different video requests, because I know you gave me a lot of great suggestions for that. So yeah, I will. Yeah, so I'll definitely keep those in mind though, whenever I'm either in Atlanta or just simply passing through to, let's say, get down like to Florida or something. Yep. Next question, or two-part question from Carol Rapson. So kind of a hotbed over there, and the gear. So yeah, it's like, oh, sorry. So it's like a two-part question. Like the first part's like, which I kind of was addressing a little bit too, because yeah, I know it's a little crazy over there right now. It's like but yeah, but without getting into any details or anything like that. But it's like, yeah, it's like we're like both my friend and I are keeping a close eye on how things are, and then yeah, she may have to call the trip if things get worse over there. But because the thing is, we want to make sure we again come back alive and safe. But yeah, so hopefully things get better at at some point, so that way the trip can go on, assuming we get the minimum amount of people. But yeah, other than that though, yeah, Egypt's actually is not a bad location to travel to. Like even like Rick Steves, who's like one of my big travel influences. He's even heck, I think he even has like a two-part documentary on Egypt because he normally does like trips to Europe, but he's occasionally ventured out beyond Europe too, where Egypt was one of them too. So yeah, a lot of people do go there, but of course, yeah, just watching the situation over there. And then the second part, it's like, yeah, I've heard some different things about bringing different like photography gear into Egypt. So, like for example, I don't know if I'd be able to bring my tripod over or into the country, and I don't have a drone, so I don't have to worry about that because I think they confiscate drones if you were to bring them in. And then the one thing I'd have to look though is I'd have to see what I can bring in when it comes to like my filming equipment, like my camera, my Gorilla Pod, which I call the Scott Pod, my microphone, or heck, even my GoPro. So it's like if I were to film anything, worst case scenario, my phone would be what I'd have to use. But my phone's pretty good though, so I'd be able to just do some great video. So, but yeah, that's. But yeah, I've heard different stories about that. So yeah, that's definitely a concern of mine. I like to come back from trips alive as well. Well, I would, yeah, absolutely. I think that's pretty much the goal with everybody because yeah, because otherwise we won't be able to come back and tell a bunch of great stories. And in case of me, it's like if I don't come back from a trip alive, then I won't be able to share my YouTube videos with anybody, which would be really sad. Yep. One of my mother's friends climbed partway up Mount Everest, but injured herself, and the guides had to carry her down. Oh, yikes! Yeah, but yeah, it's like it takes a lot of practice to do the hike or the climb up to, or heck, even to the base camp. So it's not like I could be like, maybe I'll go up to the Mount Everest base camp next week. It's not gonna be as simple as that, but again, you never know. But I will say this though, it's like I don't see me doing anything like that until I have gone up to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro because that's a lot more manageable and you only really have to deal with cold weather for a small part of that. Where with Mount Everest, it's pretty chilly, even just going to the base camp for a lot of it. Not only that too, but even like the Mount Everest base camp, it's much higher elevation than the Mount Kilimanjaro. So I have to deal with altitude as well too, because it's not just the fact that it's a very tall climb, even to the base camp, but the altitude is the big one, and the altitude can even be deadly too if you're not careful. Tennessee has great mountains too. Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. I still have yet to go to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park because yeah, I've seen a lot of great photos and videos from there. It is absolutely breathtaking. I did get close a few years ago when I did like a little trip after Christmas down to Tennessee. I got to mostly go to Nashville and Chattanooga, and I stopped for a night in Gatlinburg, which is on the kind of like the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, like near the national park. But I didn't really get to see much of Gatlinburg, just like a quick little walk, which heck, I even have a vlog on that. But yeah, I didn't really get a chance to see a whole lot because it was more just like a night stop on my way to Chattanooga. Have beautiful trails in Tennessee. I bet, especially up in the mountains. So yeah. Although it's like, yeah, for a lot of the hiking though, it's like I probably would not maybe not want to go like in the winter, although it may not be too bad, but like maybe like the early spring or especially like in the late fall, that'd be a great time to go. Do you think the US 23 segment from I-475 in Ohio to I-75 in Michigan should be numbered I-775, 895, etc., since there is no interstate number there? I-575 or I-75 West. Um, yeah, that's always a possibility because I know for what I've some of the research I've done, I know like a lot of the freeways that are in like the United States, they have to be considered like at interstate standards in order to be signed as an interstate. And again, I'm not an expert because I don't build freeways. I don't work or do like any road work on the freeways or anything. I just drive on them. But I could see that I could see there'd be a possibility where they could number or make the 23 stretch, yeah, going through Michigan up like basically from Toledo to Flint. I could see them making that an interstate at some point, especially now that they're playing like the whole new flex route that's going in like north of Ann Arbor. So yeah, it's hard to say. I could see them potentially doing that, but I don't I don't see them doing like an I-75 West or an I-75 East just because Ann Arbor is significantly smaller than Detroit, so I don't see them doing that. Kinda like how you have I-35 West, I-35 East in both, like, Dallas, Fort Worth, and then also Minneapolis, St. Paul. Because yeah, because those are kinda like twin cities in both of I-35's routes, so that kinda makes a little bit more sense. I see them doing maybe more of, like, maybe like a loop, because it's not really a spur, which is they usually do that for, like the one like a 175 or a 375 type route. So I could see them maybe doing something like a probably an maybe like an 875, but or even a whole new interstate in general too. But again, I don't know. It's like because I know like the numbering of the interstates is kind of done by the United States government, so it's kind of hard to say on how they plan the different routes and what they decide to do when it comes to that or designating freeways as an interstate. But yeah, I could see it going to or being designated as an interstate at some point. Although I don't see it happening in the near future. But we'll have to wait and see. Wondered if we would make it back on some of the road trips around Detroit. Oh yeah, so it's like yeah, it's like yeah, it's like yeah, when it comes to Detroit, it's like yeah, there's yeah, of course, a lot of different roads, a lot of freeways, and of course, I know that Detroit, as a general or in general, has gotten like a lot of bad rep when it comes to like a lot of the crime, and which yeah, I can't sugarcoat. I can't sugarcoat anything, or I can't sugarcoat it or anything, but yeah, Detroit does have higher than average crime rates, but generally, when you're going to like the areas where there's tourists and people are like a lot of visitors are going like downtown or midtown Corktown, like those areas. Those are areas are usually pretty safe. It's pretty rare to see like anything dangerous or anything like that. As especially especially like if you're out and about during the day or like the early evening. However, if it's like the middle of the night though, I would advise against that, just because it's usually not a good idea to be out in the middle of the night, especially in a place that you're not really too familiar with anyway. Or if you have to, then usually if you're in a group, then that's a little bit better. But generally, like if you're driving around Detroit, if as long as you're sticking to like the major highways or like the roads or like major roads, like the freeways or like the major highways like Gratiot or Woodward Avenue, they're generally a little bit more a lot they're more safe than just going on some of the back roads, which is kind of why I don't do like for the most part don't do like random drives around Detroit or anything like that, because I do have to be careful when it comes to the safety, because some of the neighborhoods out once you get into the other parts of the city that's not really traveled by tourists or even locals as much, that's where you got to be a little bit careful, because that's where you can see some of the higher crime rates, unfortunately. But hopefully things do improve, which fortunately Detroit has gotten better in the past decade. So hopefully that trend continues and things do get better. But until then, it's like yeah, just have to practice your normal street smarts like you do with any other city. Just have to like stay in some of the areas that are considered safer, like go to like areas where there's a lot more visitors or tourists, because those are usually more policed. And then, of course, just watch your backside. Gallenberg is great and expensive. Oh, yeah, that's true because yeah, it's like again, I was only there for an evening, but yeah, it did look absolutely beautiful. But yeah, it's definitely I can see it's a little bit pricey just because it is heavily touristed or visited by tourists, and then even like nearby Pigeon Forge. Because yeah, it's a big tourist or destination in the state of Tennessee. It's like people from all over Tennessee, North Carolina, or even that general region go there all the time for vacations because heck, it's on the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, which is a very heavily visited national park. So it does make sense for it to be a little bit more expensive. So yeah, so yeah, one thing to keep in mind though, it's like yeah, just gotta watch your wallet when you go there. Any plans for the thumb area of Michigan? Unless I missed previous videos, greetings for Northern Macomb County. Up. Hey there, Earl. So yeah, I don't have any immediate plans of going back to up to the thumb region yet. However, I have filmed quite a bit of videos up in the thumb in the past 2 or 3 years, like because I've done different video or like updated videos up in the Port Austin area where I went to, well, maybe not Port Austin itself, but to Port Crescent State Park, which is just the west of Port Austin. So that was a video I filmed, and then did like one on I trying to remember. I did one of like Cass City and Caro, Michigan, going more inland into the thumb. Did one for Port Sanilac and Harbor Beach. And there's even been a couple driving or a few driving videos I filmed up in the thumb as well too. So because yeah, back during the pandemic where I wasn't able to do as much like international travels or even or like in the case of 2020, like a lot of out of state travels with the exception of the 2 big road trips I did. I got to do like a lot of Michigan based travel that year. So I was able to go up to the thumb more. So I was able to do some more things in that area. But yeah, for the rest of the year, I don't see me going up there, but I could see me maybe up or going up sometime next year though, because I always could do like maybe like an updated video for like Lexington and yeah, some different areas in that area. And of course, driving videos too. There's still more driving videos I got to film over in that area. Yeah, Gallenberg is a tourist trap. Yeah, I kind of noticed that too because I saw like it's like it's got all the normal touristy stuff that you'd see like some of the other different places. Almost kind of reminded me of like Niagara Falls over in Canada a little bit too, where it's like you see like all the Madame Tussauds, Ripley's Believe It or Not, like all that stuff. So it was it's not stuff that I'm really into just because it's like it doesn't because places like those don't really represent a city or a location very well because well heck like Madame Tussauds for example they're all over the world. So just like I would not travel to like to London just to go to a wax museum. It's like I could do that anywhere. Detroit, Flint, and Saginaw have neighborhoods where you want to be alert. Yes, absolutely. It's like yeah, all three of them too. Like it's like I think it was last year I did a driving tour around Flint, Michigan, and yeah, it's like there's different neighborhoods that are absolutely beautiful, very historic, and it's like those are neighborhoods you absolutely have to drive through because the homes in there are just absolutely gorgeous. But there are other neighborhoods that I drove through in that video too, which unfortunately are not so good areas, and they're not really areas I would really would want to go through or anything. So like that driving tour that I did for Flint, that's like a classic example where you got to see a huge difference in the different neighborhoods. But yeah, Flint, Saginaw, and Detroit, there's different neighborhoods too where you gotta be really careful driving in, or it's like or just avoid them altogether. Just stick to the main roads. Just like I think even like Benton Harbor and I think like Muskegon Heights too. Like there's some neighborhoods where that you might want to be a little extra careful driving through. Okay, trying to see where we left off. I made the Detroit crack because we were talking dangerous places. uh, uh, no worries, but it's like yeah, it's like I'll be honest with you, it's like I because safety's been always been a huge talk and about Detroit ever since the riots back in the late '60s. So like Detroit's got a lot of bad rep, and of course there's been a lot of jokes about that. So it's like, yeah, it's understandable. Can you remind me where the Lions play? So yeah, in downtown Detroit, the Detroit Lions, which is the NFL or football team for Detroit, they play at Ford Field, which is located in the downtown core, and it's like right next to Comerica Park, which is where the Detroit Tigers baseball team play. So yeah, Ford Field is where the Lions play. Yep. Good afternoon, Scott. Is downtown Detroit gotten better? Hey there, Albert. So I was just talking about that just a few minutes ago, but yeah, it's compared to like a decade ago, or especially 2 decades ago. Yeah, downtown Detroit is a lot better. It's like there's a lot of a lot of people going down there now. Heck, people even starting to live down there too. And it's like there's a lot of great restaurants down there, although some of them are kind of expensive to go to, like even some that are out of my price range a little bit. But there's been a lot more events down there, like over in Hart Plaza, and then also like there's been a lot of cool different things that have been going on in downtown. So it's really great to see that the city has come back to life. So it's been a tremendous turnaround compared to when Detroit was in its bankruptcy days, like a little over a decade ago. Went to Grindstone City in 1980. Oh, very, very cool. Up, hi there, Chop School Theater. Nice. It's great to see you join the live stream here as well. Really enjoy your videos. They're my favorite travel logs. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for very much for all your support. I'm really glad you enjoy all the different videos. And thanks for stopping by too. I'm going back to Toledo again for Thanksgiving. Oh, that's awesome. It's like, yeah, Toledo's another place. I did a video there like over a decade ago, but I need to film a new video because the one I did back in 2011 was not really good. So it'd be nice to film a new one, which I could always do. I don't know if I'll do it later this year. I might, or if not, maybe sometime next year. Do you count Toledo and Detroit as one metro area like me? Not really. Even though Toledo is it's the closest city in Ohio to Detroit. Like it's closer to Detroit than it is like Cleveland or Columbus or Cincinnati. And a lot of people will fly into Detroit Metro Airport to go down to Toledo because Detroit Metro Airport is a lot bigger airport where you get a lot more flights coming in than if you're flying to Toledo. But I would still say there's still like a little bit of a gap between the Detroit metropolitan area and Toledo's, like especially because yeah, like Monroe County, which is like the one that like the southeasternmost county in Michigan, there are a lot of areas that are very rural. So you could tell that there's still a little bit of a difference. But overall, though, it's like both cities kind of have a similar feel, just because both cities were part of the port or a part of the Rust Belt. So they're both like industrial cities. So I can understand why some people will consider them as a part of the same area, but or heck, I think even the northernmost suburbs of Toledo go into Michigan, like Lambertville, Temperance, Michigan. But I think they consider both cities to be separate metropolitan areas, though. Dude, your channel is great and informative. Thank you very much. Um, do you have any plans to go to Vegas anytime in the future? I definitely need to get over there in the near future. I have no plans this year, but I need to try to go at some point. Like who knows, maybe like next year or something. Not even just to Vegas, but would love to get over to the trying to remember. I think it's the Hoover Dam that's near there. It's either the Hoover Dam or I already forgot. It's either the Hoover Dam or some other dam that's over to the east of Las Vegas. That would be really cool to see. Or heck, but because yeah, Nevada's still one of the 4 states I need to visit. So like, and I've even heard of good things about like Reno and Carson City in that area too. But I would have to do those on a separate trip because Reno and Las Vegas are completely far apart from each other. I'm very impressed with the towns in Michigan. I'm from New York City and haven't been to Michigan yet. Really want to go to Mackinac Island. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That Michigan. Yeah, Michigan's a fantastic state. You have to travel to Michigan at some point. It's just because there's a lot of beauty to the state, beautiful parks, forests, and some really cool cities and towns as well too. It's like, yeah, all throughout the state, you got all these different quaint and charming villages and towns all throughout the state, even like in some of the outskirts of Metro Detroit too, and then going over to the western part of the state and northern Michigan. A lot of like every town and city in Michigan has great history. And of course, Mackinac Island is one of the top attractions in Michigan, and for a very good reason, just because for the most part, cars aren't allowed on the island. And it's like they got a lot of fudge kitchens, great restaurants. Of course, you got the historic Fort Mackinac. You got the Grand Hotel there, which is absolutely beautiful. But I've never stayed there because it's insanely expensive to stay there. But and also too, they got bike rentals because it's really fun to bike the perimeter of Mackinac Island. And if you're curious to learn more about Mackinac Island, I even made a video back in 2019 where I went to Mackinac Island. Yeah, feel free to check out that video if you like. Yeah, because I got to spend an entire day there. And of course, what's cool too is the ferry ride over there. Absolutely fantastic, especially on a beautiful sunny day. I was very impressed with seeing your Mobile, Alabama tour. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Mobile was a really cool city to visit. I'm glad I got to go to that part of the country just because I feel like Alabama is kind of off the tourist radar a little bit because everybody's either going to New Orleans or they're going to Florida, but they tend to maybe miss out on Mississippi and Alabama. So that was what I was trying to convey in the videos I did down in Alabama and also Mississippi around the holidays of this past year. Because yeah, like Mobile, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, those are fantastic cities, and I still need to check out Birmingham and Huntsville at some point too. Okay, let me scroll up here. Have you ever had your credit card skimmed at a gas station in a sketchy area of Detroit? I have. I have not. I. I tend to avoid filling up my gas tank in like in the outer parts of the city of Detroit, just because of safety reasons. Because some of the neighborhoods aren't that safe. But fortunately, I've not come across a credit card skimmer. Yeah, but anytime I go up to a gas pump though to fill up my gas tank, no matter where I go, I'm always checking the credit card reader, make sure that it hasn't been tampered with or anything. So yeah, that's something I always keep an eye out because you never know that there could be someone could have tampered with the credit card reader. So that's one of the things that you do got to look out for. Do you plan to do any California towns anytime soon? Also, I'm really looking forward to seeing the Georgia videos coming up. Really enjoyed seeing Turkey. Oh, thank you. Yeah, because I know you missed the first part of the stream, but yeah, the next 4 Mondays, I'm going to be uploading videos from the Georgia trip, which I'd be really looking forward to doing. As for California, that would be something really cool to do. Of course, the one difficult part with that is because I live in Michigan and California is the other side of the country. So flights can be a little expensive over there. So I'd have to spend a lot of time over there in California. But yeah, there are a lot of beautiful towns over there, like all throughout the state. So that would be something I would like to do too at some point. Well, heck, any state, like checking out all the different small towns would be fascinating to see. Like I've even done that in Texas, and Texas towns are really cool. But yeah, I could definitely see me check out some California towns. And as a matter of fact, my very good friend Chris, who has his channel called Yellow Productions, he's been to a lot of different places around California too. Although I don't know if he's done like really small towns for the most part, unless they're like in the LA or San Diego metropolitan areas. But yeah, anyway, it's yeah, that would be cool to check out some California towns, and some upcoming adventures though. Okay, if you go to Mackinac Island, stay 3 nights so you're not rushed to see everything. Okay, that's great to know. So, thank you very much for the tip. Because yeah, it's like I was up there for 2 nights when I did that trip in 2019. Although I didn't stay on the island, I stayed over in St. Ignace, which is the town closest to Mackinac Island from the Upper Peninsula, so on the north side of the Mackinac Bridge. I mainly did that just because it's a lot cheaper and lower price to stay over either in St. Ignace or Mackinac City compared to staying on the island. But if you can afford to stay on the island, yeah, that'd be a cool experience too, because you got the Grand Hotel and there's also some smaller places to stay on there too. It's not just the Grand Hotel, which is the most famous and the most historic. Yep. How far is Windsor, Ontario from Detroit? It's really close. If you're walking along the Detroit River from the Detroit side, Windsor is just across the river. So you can easily get over there by the Detroit Windsor Tunnel, or you could take the Ambassador Bridge across. It's like less than a mile away from the city. So it's very, very close. And as a matter of fact, they're even building a new crossing, the Gordie Howe Bridge, although it's going to be maybe more like a mile or so south of downtown Detroit. But I think that's supposed to be completed maybe in a couple of years from now. So soon there'll be 3 crossings, but right now there's only 2. But yeah, Windsor is just right across the river. There are parts of the Vegas Strip that you probably won't want to film. Oh yeah, for sure. Because I know there's different areas where it's like also again, you have to be very careful. And of course, things can get a little crazy on the strip, especially at night. Although my friend Chris, who's the one I just mentioned about a couple minutes ago, Yellow Productions, he's done so many like videos on Las Vegas, so he's done like a lot of filming there. So it probably wouldn't be too much of a problem. Although inside buildings, that's where I got to be careful, because one thing to keep in mind too, I know like a lot of casinos, they don't allow like videography or even photography. So that's one thing I got to look out for. So it's like if I were to do like some videos on Las Vegas, I would not be able to show the casinos, unfortunately, because they don't really allow photography or videography inside of them. Have you checked out any of Control City Freaks videos recently? I have not, just because there's been a lot that's been going on with me lately, so I haven't really had much time to check out different YouTube channels beyond the ones that I'm already watching. But yeah, I'll have to keep that channel in mind though, just to take a look though. Michigan looks so beautiful. Absolutely, it's one of my favorite states, and I might be a little biased because I've lived in Michigan almost all my life, but but it's a fantastic state, and there's even been some travelers that I follow like on Instagram too, which have made their very first trips to Michigan in the past few years, and like there was even like a travel couple I follow who are based out of California, and they've even listed Michigan as one of their top 5 states, which is really great to see. So it's great to see more and more travelers coming to Michigan to finally check it out, because I still feel like a lot of people miss out on Michigan as they're flying over from like going like to New York or to Florida, California, or even like to Chicago, and they forget about Michigan, which is a shame, because Michigan has a lot of beauty to offer. It's like, especially with all the parks and all the natural wonderlands and up in the northern part of the state. It's like, yeah, I know our winters can be a little crazy, but the rest of the year, it's absolutely fantastic. All right, where did I leave off? Hi, Scott, man. Hi there, Darren. Today is our son Waldo's birthday. He's 15. Can he get a happy birthday? He'd love that. All right, let's do this. We're going to sing him happy birthday. Let's really make his day. All right. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Waldo. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Waldo. All right. Yep. Yes, I saw the Mackinac tour you did. It was great. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I put a lot of effort into that video, and I had a great time filming that, because it was my first time visiting Mackinac Island since I was like a teenager. So it was great. It was great to finally go back for the first time in like, I think like 15 years or something. How many states have you been to? Oh, okay. I've been to 46 out of the 50. So I still have to go to Idaho, Nevada, Alaska, and Hawaii. I really want to go to Michigan. I have only laid over in Detroit Metro Airport, and that's all I saw. I want to see outside the airport. Oh, absolutely. It's like it. Because yeah, it's like you don't really get to see much of anything from the airport, especially here in Detroit, since the airport's like a little bit away from the city. But yeah, once you get out of the airport, though, yeah, Michigan is a fantastic state. So hopefully get a chance to visit someday. That's so true. Nobody ever takes trips to Alabama. Yeah, that's what I've noticed too, which is a shame because Alabama is a beautiful state. Like I really enjoyed my time down there. It's like, yeah, because I went late December, early January, and had some pretty good weather down there. I do know, especially up in the northern part of the state, they can still get snow there, but it usually melts pretty quickly though. But again, it's not very often. But for the most part, the weather is absolutely fantastic, and it's like lot of interesting cities to check out, and of course some beautiful parks up there too. Like there's even one park I visited near Tuscaloosa. I didn't film it or anything, but I made like a quick stop for like an hour, and like it is beautiful. So it's like, yeah, there's beauty in every state. So have you ever thought about creating your own video game? If so, what video game would you like to make? RPG, platformer, hack and slash, action, adventure, beat 'em up, etc. Not really, because even though I work in IT, I am not really a developer or a programmer. So I would not even know how to begin creating a video game or anything like that. So that's something I don't ever see me doing or anything. Although it's like, if I were to make something, I'd see it be like a traditional like platformer, like think like Super Mario Brothers or something, because those are always fun to play. Like they're really easy to get into. They're not complicated or anything. And it's something that anybody can play. So if I was a developer and I could make a video game, I probably would make some type of a platformer. Did you visit Green Bay, Milwaukee, Madison, or the Dells while you're in Wisconsin? Yes. So I did not go to Madison, although I would love to go over to Madison someday. Milwaukee, I only drove through just on the freeway. I didn't really get a chance to go into Milwaukee, but it'd be a cool city to check out too. Like maybe get to the southern part of Wisconsin. I'd have to do that on a separate trip. I did get to check out Green Bay. I didn't film anything in Green Bay, but I did get to walk around downtown Green Bay. It's a smaller Wisconsin city, but it was really cool to check out. And yeah, I really enjoyed walking along the river in downtown Green Bay. And of course, I think I posted in one of my Instagram stories, but I had to get a mandatory selfie at Lambeau Field, which is where the Green Bay Packers play, even though they're a longtime rival of the Detroit Lions. But you have to get a selfie at Lambeau Field. It's like you have to. Although, if you're not into football at all, I guess I can understand that one, though. So no worries there if you're not a football fan. Okay, trying to get through these. Okay, what are something else to do in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan besides the island? Oh, yep. So yeah, there's a lot of beauty to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Like for one, like there's Taquamanon Falls, which they're like the Taquamanon Falls. They're like the second tallest water. Well, there's the Upper Falls and Lower Falls. The Upper Falls of the Taquamanon Falls. They're the second tallest waterfall east of the Mississippi River in the United States. So it only shadows the Canadian Falls, or only shadows the whole Niagara Falls. And it's an icon in Michigan. But in addition to that, there's other beautiful waterfalls too, which I'm starting to learn more about. That's more in the western part of the Upper Peninsula. Sault Ste. Marie is really cool to see, especially with the Soo Locks, where you can see the many ships going through the locks along the St. Mary's River, connecting Lake Superior and Lake Huron. That's really cool to see, and it's absolutely free to check out, like the observation deck for that. And there's also, they have cruises there too, where you can go through the locks, which that's something I need to do at some point. There's also Whitefish Point, which has a really cool shipwreck museum, and Whitefish Point, of course, is near the site where the Edmund Fitzgerald sank back in 1975. If you ever heard the Gordon Lightfoot song, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, that's basically tells all about that. And then going further west, there's also Marquette, which is a really cool city. There's also Sugarloaf Mountain, which is just outside of Marquette, which is a cool mountain. We get some really cool views from the top. There's also the Keweenaw Peninsula, which goes up into Lake Superior a little bit. That's very hilly, and you get some breathtaking views. Copper Harbor is absolutely beautiful. It's like one of the beaches over there. It's like crystal clear water. I need to get back up to that part of Michigan at some point too. And then also, and Michigan's only national park, Isle Royal Park is off on an island in the middle of the western Lake Superior too, which you can take a ferry from Copper Harbor to get to Isle Royal National Park. That'd be a cool park to visit at some point. And then also even check out some of the other smaller cities too, like Escanabas, for example, is another cool spot. Which, matter of fact, I just uploaded a video on Escanaba when I went to Wisconsin just a couple months ago too. But yeah, there's a lot to see in the Upper Peninsula. The only problem is I don't get up there enough because it's a long drive from Southeast Michigan. But it's a really cool part of the state. Highly recommend it. Okay, let me see where we left off here. Okay, so yeah, that's so true. I never hear anybody saying they're taking a trip to Michigan to explore. Yeah, which is a shame. So that's what I'm trying to do with a lot of my videos. Even though I do videos, of course, all over the United States and the world too, and I definitely want to do more of that too. But I still like returning to my roots and filming things around Michigan too, just because it's been my home for so long and like I know a lot about the state and I'm still learning things about the state too. It's like anytime I go off to different places too, and I'm still doing like research on different towns I'm visiting, like learning about the history and some of the attractions there, like things I've never even heard about until I do the research. All right. Michigan, the winter water wonderland. Yep, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think that's one of the newer Michigan license plates too. I think that mentions about the winter water wonderland on them too, which is pretty interesting. Any plans for other types of videos in the near future, like something non-travel related? Um, Nothing officially planned as of right now. But yeah, I'm not sure what exactly I would do yet. It's like the closest thing that comes to that is like that grilled cheese, the two grilled cheese videos they did. One back in 2020, back during the beginning of the pandemic, and then also the other one I did late last year. Although the one I did late last year had a lot of travel elements in it, so I could always see myself doing maybe a third grilled cheese video or something, just some type of a fun video that has some travel in it too, but maybe it's something a little bit different than what I typically do. But yeah, I'll have to wait and see just because I'm mostly a travel channel, but it's always possible though. But yeah, it's something I'd have to think of something good though before I would consider posting something like that. But you never know though. But I'm glad there's interest in other things too, other than travel. So that gives me an idea if I contemplate on making a different type of a video. But even if I were to do something like that, I still want to keep it mostly the travel anyway, just because that's my biggest passion in life and what I absolutely love the most. Okay, so where? Oh, okay, so cool. So Carzilla. That. Thank you very much for the suggestions. The Gilmore Car Museum might be cool video. Another Kalamazoo. Oh yeah, yeah. Kalamazoo. It might be a good idea to maybe film like a new video there, because I know the one I did was kind of old, but it's like it captures the city pretty well. But yeah, there could always be like another update or something I could always make. Both peninsulas of Michigan have plenty of forests you can visit. Absolutely. Yeah. The Upper Peninsula is heavily forested. And then the Lower Peninsula, mostly the northern part of the Lower Peninsula, but there's still some different forests in the southern part as well, too. Like even some heavily wooded areas, even in the outskirts of Metro Detroit, too, which is really, really nice to see. Did you do an Interstate I-194 driving video in Battle Creek? Not yet, but that would be a cool idea. Although, because of how short the freeway is, I see it being more of like a M66 video where I drive the freeway portion and then I continue north through Battle Creek further up on M66. So that could be a possible idea. Just like I've even considered doing an I-375 video, which I almost should make one at some point, even though it's only gonna be like a 2-minute video, but I could always post it like just as a random video, maybe like on April Fool's Day or something. It's like one of the shortest freeways in the United States, which I might, if I want to do something like that, I might want to do that soon because there are plans for I-375 in downtown Detroit to know to where they're going to completely reconstruct that to where it's going to become like an just a like a big boulevard with at great intersections. So I-375 might become a thing of a past in the near future. So I got to keep that in mind if I wanted to film a video of 375. Hey, Scott, man up. Hey there, Joe. Good to see you here on here live. It's great to see you on here as well. My wife is a super huge fan. Her name is Christy. Can you give her a shout out? It would make her day. Hope you have a great day. All right. So, thank you very much. And hey there, Christy. I'm This is the Scott man. It's great to hear that you're a huge fan of all my different travel content. Hopefully you get a chance to go off on some different adventures of your own, because I know there's a lot of cool things you can see just not far from your neighborhood or anywhere else in the United States or the world. So hopefully you get to go out on some different travel adventures and try some amazing food at some point. So hope you're having a great day, Christy. Getting back to the Mobile tour, I was very impressed with their food and the restaurants you went to. I love the Gulf Shrimp. Oh, yes, the Gulf Shrimp is absolutely fantastic. Like anytime I go to the Gulf Coast of the United States, I have to give Gulf Coast shrimp at least once. Like it is absolutely fantastic. It's where it's a lot more fresh compared to getting shrimp here in Michigan. Because to be honest with you, it's like I don't think there are any really shrimp that are in any of the waters of Michigan. If there are, I would love to know because I don't know how they'd be surviving in fresh water. But yeah, it's like the southern part of the United States. It's a foodie paradise. Lots of great food down there. But if I were to eat like that all the time, though, I would gain 30 pounds. So I gotta be careful when it comes to great food like that. Hope you come back to Three Rivers. Oh yeah, I could definitely see me doing that at some point because I do need to film more of Highway 131 when it comes to the driving videos. So I could see me going back to Three Rivers at some point to do something like that. And yeah, there's some more driving videos I got to do in the southwest part of the state because I know one of you has been wanting me to come back to Niles, Michigan. So one cool idea is to maybe do like a driving tour around Niles. So that's something I could always do at some point too. So that way it's a because it sounds like I got a fan club in the city of Niles. So I might have to do a driving tour out there at some point too. Have you been to Michigan Adventure? Not yet. So for anybody whom doesn't know, yeah, Michigan Adventure is basically the biggest amusement park in the state of Michigan. It's located in Muskegon, Michigan, over in the west side of the state. It's a lot smaller compared to like the larger parks, like any of the Six Flags parks or Cedar Point or Kings Island. But yeah, it'd be cool to go to. I don't know if I'd be able to film that just because I could see me losing my camera or something like that if I were to film while I'm riding any of the rides or something. But or if I were to go there and make like a video, I probably would not be able to go on the rides. Or I do like a lot of filming and then to go on some of the rides, I could probably put myself in a locker or something. But I need to check it out one of these days, though. Have you ever seen Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives TV show? Would you ever drive to restaurants? I have not really heard of that channel before, so I might have to check them out at some point. So yeah, I'll have to look into that because yeah, I'm not sure about that last question, but yeah, I think if I were to check out some of their content though, I might get a better idea about that. Visiting the convention in Atlanta was also a slight deviation for you too. Yeah, that's true. Even though that was still kind of travel related to. Oh yeah, and speaking of that too, there was also that '90s con video I uploaded back in the early part of the year because yeah, I went to '90s con in Hartford, Connecticut. So yeah, that was like another video that was a little bthat different compared to like a standard travel video. So that's always a possibility too, where I could do stuff like that. So yeah, that's a good reminder about that. I almost forgot about that or any of those videos. Too bad the Great Lakes are in the way. We could have had I-96 going through the other states like Wisconsin, where it would most likely meet I-94 again, or Minnesota. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that'd be well, it's an obstacle, but it's not a bad one just because there's Highway 10, which Highway 10 has the SS Badger, which is a ferry that connects Ludington, Michigan with Manitowoc, Wisconsin. So by taking that ferry, Highway 10 continues west into Wisconsin and going to Minnesota, and then it ends up over in Fargo, North Dakota. So one thing they could do is they could, because I know there's supposed to be a ferry between Muskegon and Milwaukee, or I think it's both cities if I'm not mistaken. So they could do something like that. Although because it would quickly link up with I-94 in Milwaukee, I don't see them doing that just because they just have a very small segment in Wisconsin that's like maybe like a couple miles long, which I don't really see that being practical. But yeah, I definitely see what you mean though. Hello, Scottman. Yep. Hey there, Asteroid Dragon 76. Yep, great to see you on here. What's the best coleslaw you've ever had? Oh wow. That's a really tough question because I've had so much coleslaw all throughout my travels. Heck, I've even had coleslaw in Europe too. So it's really hard, but believe it or not, my mother actually makes really great coleslaw. So that's one of my favorites, like the ones that my mother has made in the past, where she likes to put like raisins in the coleslaw, and adding raisins in coleslaw is absolutely fantastic. And then there's another restaurant too that's really close to where I live that puts in, or well, I shouldn't say that. I think like at least in the general metropolitan, like in the Detroit metropolitan area, where they put like blue cheese crumbles in it, or blue cheese crumbles in it. And it's really tasty. So those are some of my different favorites when it comes to coleslaw. Then again, if we were to ever drive the Long Bridge on I-96 a la the Pontchartrain Causeway, they'd most likely get stressed because if you get further in the bridge, you can't see land anymore. Yeah, it's not really a good idea to have a long bridge going across Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is significantly wider than than a Lake Pontchartrain down near New Orleans. So it's like, yeah, I think if there was to be some type of a bridge going across Lake Michigan, it'd probably be the longest bridge in the world. And I think that'd be really expensive and would be environmental. It would be really bad for the environment. And so it's like, I don't ever see them doing that. And I would personally be opposed to that because it would significantly deteriorate the environment of the Great Lakes. So that's something I would strongly oppose. So, but it's not even practical or economically anyway. So I don't ever see something like that happening. That's true about the Southeast food. It could put weight on you. Oh yeah, absolutely. Even the food I had in Georgia, like the Republic of Georgia. So it's like can be very filling too, very hearty. So it's like, yeah, so that's pretty interesting. Like the food down in the state of Georgia and the food in the Republic of Georgia, it's like they're amazing. They're amazing, but if you eat too much of it, it might just pack on the pounds. Have you been to any of the big Ohio amusement parks you've mentioned? I've been to Cedar Point only once. Because it's only a couple hours away from the Metro Detroit area, I went to Cedar Point as a part of my eighth grade field trip. Because yeah, eighth grade was of course when I was getting ready to go into high school. So to celebrate, yeah, our whole eighth grade, all the eighth grade students at my middle school, we all went to Cedar Point for the day, and that was such a fun day. We all had a great time. But I hadn't been back to Cedar Point since then, though. Should go back at some point, even though it's kind of expensive to go there, but would be fun. It seems that people chest mount their GoPros on roller coasters. Yeah, that's true. That's something I always could do too. Because yeah, whether they'll strap them on their chest or some people will put them on a hat, although it had to be like a gentle ride to do that because yeah, if I were to go on a roller coaster with this hat, it'll fall off like instantly just because of the wind. The wind will just push it right off. I saw the 90s Con video. That was cool. Oh yeah, that was a really cool convention, especially getting to meet all the different celebrities from the 90s. Like because they had the cast from Saved by the Bell, they had the cast from Full House there, different also movies like Clueless, and also like all the different shows too, like all of that, Keenan and Kel. Also a couple members of NSYNC were there too. Joey Fatone and Chris Kirkpatrick were there too. So it was a really cool convention. I-90 is interrupted by the Great Lakes. Yeah, I would definitely say so because it has to dip south a little bit too, going south of Lake Erie and Lake Michigan, it's concurrent with I-80 along the Ohio Turnpike and the Indiana Toll Road as it goes south of Michigan. And then once you get over to Chicago, then it starts making its way back to the north a little bit. So yeah, I could definitely see that in the map. Don't know if you would be allowed, but a Greenfield Village walkthrough would be cool. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's a video idea I've been exploring. Is not just Greenfield Village, but also maybe going like to the Henry Ford, which is the museum that's right next to it. So I know the Henry Ford. Because I know filming should be allowed there because I didn't see anything on their website prohibiting it. I'd have to, although I think I have to get like a permit if I was to do like a professional video, like if I was filming for like a client or something. But and then Greenfield Village is likely give me the same thing too. But I'd have to double check on that. But yeah, that would be something cool to do. But it would have to be sometime next year because Greenfield Village, I think it's going to close for the year after this month because right now it's open, I think on weekends for like, because they got like Halloween stuff going on there right now. Mom's always cooked the best food. Oh, absolutely. Like my mother is a great cook. Have you ever been to Amsterdam? I'm going to Christmas for the first time. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I've been to Amsterdam once, and that's excluding all the times I've had layovers at the airport in Amsterdam. But Amsterdam is a really cool city. I've only been for a day though, because I had like a 24-hour layover there on my way to Austria. Like this was back in 2018. So I only got to spend one day in Amsterdam, which matter of fact, I even posted a video on that back in 2018. But yeah, in Amsterdam, I got to walk around the city. And one of the sites I did, even though I wasn't allowed to film it, but the Anne Frank house, that is a must see in Amsterdam. It's like it's a very sad museum, but it's a absolute necessary one to visit. But what if you do go to that though? Make sure you book your tickets in advance if you go to the Anne Frank house because they sell out a ways away, and I don't think it's even possible to get tickets on site. So if you want to go to the Anne Frank house, you might want to try to book your time slot as early as possible because it's really, really popular and for a very good reason. And then also I can't remember if I went inside it or not, but the Rijksmuseum, which is the main art museum there, that's a must see as well too. And then there's different neighborhoods around Amsterdam too. So it's like I only have the one video in Amsterdam, but there's another YouTuber I follow or I follow on here on YouTube. It's called A Wanderlust for Life. Her name's Jessica. Like she's an expat who lives in Amsterdam. She's from like Virginia. She has a lot of great videos on Amsterdam too. So it's like, yeah, feel free to check out not only my video, but also her videos too. So the channel's called A Wanderlust for Life. She has a lot of videos of Amsterdam and even some nearby areas too, or even like day trips from Amsterdam. So yeah, that's definitely, but yeah, anyway, yeah, I hope you have a great time when you do go to Amsterdam. It's a really cool city. I'm sure around Christmas, it'd be beautiful. Did you notice that some people count the lower and upper peninsula of Michigan as two separate states, like North or Upper Michigan or South Lower Michigan? Yeah, that I can definitely see that. It's not a common thing, but because yeah, both peninsulas have a little bit of a slightly different culture for many different things. Just like I know, like a lot of people up in the Upper Peninsula will refer to us people down in the Lower Peninsula as trolls, just because we live under the bridge. And then, of course, the nickname for people in the Upper Peninsula are the Yoopers. And believe it or not, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan was originally a part of Wisconsin. Well, I think at least the territory of Wisconsin, or I don't know. I might be getting my facts wrong on this, but there was but the Upper Peninsula ended up being like a prize for like a settlement in a very brief conflict that Michigan had. So because yeah, Michigan and Ohio actually went to war back in the 19th century. It was very, very brief. It was, yeah, again, a very, very brief, and like an actual war, not like the usual Michigan Ohio State football game that happens every November around Thanksgiving weekend. But it's like because yeah, Michigan and Ohio wanted to claim Toledo, and in the end, Ohio got Toledo and Michigan got the Upper Peninsula. Which, as you can pretty much see, Michigan ended up winning the bigger prize in the end. So Ohio's probably like, hey, wait a minute. but but anyway, but the city of Toledo is pretty cool though. It's pretty cool how it is a part of Ohio. It's a nice little gateway going into Ohio from Michigan before going to the rest of the state, like to Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati. I was primarily referring to Massachusetts and New York having their own tolled stretch of I-90, but it has that dip too. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that yeah, because I know like after you go through New York State, I-90 then takes a big dip going south of Albany, and then of course going through the Berkshires going across Massachusetts, because yeah, that kind of goes down a long way too. And that's likely because of a lot of the mountains that are up in like Western New England, and of course to connect I-90 with the city of Boston. Oh, cool. I'll check out your Amsterdam video. Yes, I'll check out the Anne Frank house. It's a really cool museum. Like it's like it can be, it's very sad to go in, but it's a must see, and it's one of those places. It's kind of like if you were to visit like one of the, almost like if you're visiting Auschwitz over like in Poland, like because it's one of those sites that's really sad, but it's important to learn about, so that way you don't repeat the tragedies of the past. Thanks for the tip about the tickets. Oh, absolutely. It's again, yeah, book early if you want to go. That's so interesting about Michigan and Ohio having a war. Yeah, it was very brief, and was again did not last very long, and it was not. I don't even know if there was. I don't even remember there were any significant casualties in that. It was, again, it was very light. It's like it's one of those. Oh, it happened. It's one of those type of things. It wasn't anything big like the War of 1812 or like the American Civil War, like things like that. Is there anything else to do in Ann Arbor besides the University of Michigan? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Ann Arbor is a really cool city. There's a lot of great restaurants in Ann Arbor. Like there's Zingerman's Deli. There's Angelo's, which is really great breakfast. Although unfortunately they're closing down in December. But there's another great place called Fleetwood Diner. It has really great breakfast. And then there's also on the University of Michigan campus, there's a free Science and Natural History Museum that's really cool to see. And there's also there's a lot of parks in Ann Arbor which you can check out too. And then get out of Ann Arbor a little bit too. There's even more parks too, like up in the other parts of Washington County. Like there's Hudson Mills Metro Park, Delhi Metro Park. And I've even filmed a few videos of Ann Arbor and in that area in the past year and a half. So I have a couple videos on Ann Arbor, like one for the city, and also a separate video on a few of the different restaurants you can check out in Ann Arbor. I can't believe the state I was born in, Ohio, and the state you and my family, my mom's side, were born in, went to war. Yeah, it's like a lot of things have changed over the years. Just like how the United States and the United Kingdom were not best friends back in the day, because heck, the United States broke away from the UK, and of course they fought each other in the Revolutionary War, and then they went to war again, the War of 1812, and then but nowadays, like during both world wars, and then a lot of different conflicts that have come up since then, like they've been very close allies. So it's like you can easily go from being worst enemies to best friends in a matter of years or decades or centuries. Although in the case of Michigan, Ohio, it's like there's kind of still like a little bit of a rivalry though. If you don't believe me, just Google Michigan Ohio State football, and you'll understand why the annual game between the two schools is known as the game. Yep, big brawl. Oh yeah, it's like that Michigan Ohio like conflict that was back in the 19th century. It was very brief, but of course, yeah, it's like watching the Michigan Ohio State football game is definitely definitely fun to watch, especially now since both Michigan and Ohio State have really good football teams. So nice to talk to you live. I have to head out and have a great day. Oh, Chops Skull Theater. Thank you very much for joining in today's stream. It's great having you here. And yep, and it looks like we've gotten to the end of the questions. So yeah, I'll probably start to wrap up the stream in the next few minutes or so. So if anybody has any like last minute questions or like any like lightning round type of questions, feel free to ask those in the next few minutes because we'll try to wrap up in the next like few minutes. But yeah, it's like I've had a great time with this live stream today. I was really looking forward to doing this, and I'll try to do another one maybe sometime in early 2024 or something. But one thing to keep in mind too is that if you really enjoy doing these live streams, I also do monthly Q&A streams on my Patreon, which there's absolutely no obligation to join that or anything like that. But I think if you pledge like $5 a month to my Patreon, we do like monthly Q&A streams, which you got one planned in November. I'm not sure when yet, but it'll be sometime before Thanksgiving though. But yeah, so it's like you get to have more Q&As like this, and we have a really great time with those too. But of course, too, I still like to do a couple of these a year for everybody, so that way everybody gets to join in the fun too. So it's how we can answer all your awesome questions. So. Okay. Have you seen any good movies lately? Not really. I haven't seen many movies just because I've been too busy. Although I did go out to see the Super Mario Brothers movies though back in April, like right after I got back from the Massachusetts trip. Just because growing up, I was always a huge fan of the Mario games, so it's like I had to relive my childhood by watching that. So that's probably the most recent like new movie I've really seen. Although I think on TV, I think like a couple months ago, I did rewatch a couple of the American Pie movies, which yeah, those are classics. Okay, where I leave off here? At the same time, most states that are not very anti-California are competing with each other for new residents. Yeah, yeah, you could say that because yeah, a lot of people are going to many different states. Like a lot of people are going like to Texas or the Florida. So it's like a lot of the southern states. A lot of people have been going to those lately, and it's like yeah. So yeah, I could definitely see that. Have you been to all the counties in Michigan? I believe I have. I don't think I filmed all 83 of them. I think either 83 or 84, but I have at least set foot in every county in Michigan, which funny enough, I just completed that in July when I went to Greenville, Michigan, which is just outside of Grand Rapids. The city of Greenville is in Montcalm County in Michigan. And it was my very first time going to that county, and it was the last one I had to visit. So I just accomplished that this year, which is pretty cool. Plans to visit Minnesota soon, especially in the Twin Cities area. I don't have any immediate plans, but I definitely need to get out to Minneapolis at some point too. Because yeah, it's a really cool city to visit, and of course, there's a lot of great food there, especially like the Juicy Lucy hamburgers. Though they're supposed to be very famous, so it'd be really cool to visit Minneapolis. A lot of beautiful parks for her in the city too. And I know one of my followers has been wanting me to do some driving videos on some of the freeways in Minneapolis. You know who you are, so that'd be something I would have to do over in Minneapolis as well too. Like make sure to rent a car, do some freeway videos over there. Have you ever heard of the various AI covers that are trending? For example, Futaba singing "Welcome to the Internet." Heck, someone could clone your voice and make it sing "Sweet Home Alabama." Yeah, I've actually been hearing about that too. Like, so I've seen a few of those. There's there's even like one where SpongeBob is rapping too, which those are like that's really interesting. Like there's different AI covers of cartoon characters or famous actors, so it's like you could easily make them say different things, and that's kind of getting kind of controversial too, just because I know like the whole Screen Actors Guild strike that's going on in Hollywood right now. Like one of the concerns is about like AI and things like that too. So I know so as the AI voice stuff is becoming more and more of a trend, I could see it wouldn't surprise me if there could be potential like lawsuits coming up. So that'll be really interesting to see. So But yeah, it's hard to say though. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, I have seen a few of those though. I haven't seen that particular one though, or haven't even heard of it. But yes, I've seen a few of the ones, especially like I've seen like again like the one the SpongeBob rapping, which was kind of funny. By the way, I liked your video about the McNamara terminal at DTW. It was my favorite hub I visited and was very informative for future travelers. Thank you. So it's like, yeah, I have two. So for anybody who doesn't know, I have two videos on McNamara Terminal, which is one of the two main terminals at the Detroit Metro Airport. McNamara Terminal is the main terminal for Delta Airlines and all the SkyTeam partners like Air France, Aeromexico. And I did like a general travel guide back in 2018. And then I just uploaded just a few weeks ago a updated one where it was more of a walkthrough where it didn't really see me as much. I was mainly behind the camera and I was just doing like a casual walk around the airport. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that. But yeah, it's like that's a really, it was one of my favorite terminals because it's very easy to navigate. It's very well presented and it's very clean and like I've never had a bad experience at Detroit Metro Airport. And that's even saying someone who lives in Metro Detroit because that's the airport I always fly in and out of. I've also gone to the AI cover and started making Smash characters sing my favorite songs. That's pretty cool. All right, so I think we should probably get ready to wrap things up here. Oh, really quick, for those that didn't know, Detroit was hub for Northwest before it merged with Delta. Yeah, that's a very good thing to know because I even remember when I was a kid where Northwest I used to fly on Northwest Airlines, so I remember that very well because Delta has always been out of Atlanta, but then yeah, when Northwest, which was of course Detroit was the main hub for Northwest Airlines, when they merged into Delta Airlines, and of course that's how Detroit became a big Delta hub, along with Atlanta and Minneapolis and many other different airports, Salt Lake City, Seattle, etc. I'm new to your channel, but have you ever done a graveyard video? Um, kind of. So 3 years ago, I went to Colorado. I was out part of my big road trip I did to Colorado, Utah, and Arizona. There is a place I went to called Central City, which Central City is a city that's maybe an hour or maybe a little bit less than an hour outside of Denver, going up into the mountains. They have a lot of casinos there, but we went to because I got to check out a really I can't remember if it was a cemetery or not, but we went to like some type of or maybe it was a cemetery, but yeah, that's like the closest thing. Like it had some eerie vibes to it, walking around the wooded areas. Like I got to see all these different items that were left for people who have passed away there. But yeah, it's like so that's kind of the closest thing to that. So yeah, definitely check out that video because it gave me some eerie vibes when I went there. So that's probably the closest thing that's come to like a true like graveyard video. Although there's been times too on my travels too where I'll go into like a cemetery just to check out some of the gravestones, seeing some of the people who've died there like maybe over a century ago. Oh yeah, and also my Auburn, New York video too. The very end of my Auburn, New York video that I uploaded a few months ago, I got to go to a cemetery and I got to go to the gravesite of Harriet Tubman. That was really cool to see. So that's another video you can check out too that I uploaded this year. So yeah, it's toward like the last couple of minutes of my Auburn, New York video. So I got to visit the cemetery there where Harriet Tubman's grave or buried. So that's another video you can check out when it comes to like something with a cemetery. Do you plan on getting a dog for yourself? Probably not, just because I travel all the time and it's like, yeah, it would definitely make traveling a little bit more difficult. So I don't really see me doing that, unfortunately. Although it'd be cool to have one of my own, though. Okay, thanks. Have a nice night. Thanks. You too. Thanks for joining. All right, so I think we'll probably go ahead and start wrapping things up here. So yeah, but again, I had such a great time with everybody here. Really enjoyed this Q&A stream. I'm glad I got to do this again with you. And everybody had such wonderful questions. I'm so glad for all your different questions. I had a really great time. Thank you so much for all, again, thank you so much for all your tremendous support over the years, or whether you've been watching me for many years or even just started watching me this past week. Yep. So I really appreciate all of you. That you guys are truly the best. You help keep this channel going. Really, really appreciate it. What about your Halloween costume? Oh, no worries. You got your question just in time. I don't even know if I'm gonna be doing anything for Halloween. I haven't dressed up for Halloween in years, so I don't know what I would really do if I was to do something like that. So hopefully, if I'm invited to a Halloween party, then I got some thinking I gotta do. All right, so thank you everyone for joining today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and hope you have a great week. Thanks for joining. And this is the Scott, or the Scott Man, signing out.